We believe that videos, images, words, and sounds have the absolute power to inform, inspire, and entertain. We are united under the virtues of safety and knowledge. We are a training community of learners and teachers who encourage and energize each other to achieve greatness. We are pilots, videographers, photographers, freelancers, business owners, enthusiasts, experts, and apprentices. We are creators. We are the Drone U.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another epic episode of Ask Drone U. My name is Paul.
And I'm Rob, and you're listening to episode number 335. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your day with us. We appreciate it.
We definitely appreciate it, and we love seeing those Instagram posts. Man, I reposted some photos from last night.
Yeah.
Rob, they were really good.
I didn't catch last night's, but I will.
Gotcha. You should. Now, if you have an Instagram account, which I'm sure you do, and if you don't, you should, because it's a great way to market your material. It's a great avenue for that, which is kind of the discussion or the topic of discussion for today, which is how do you market your videos that you make for realtors? And we'll get into that in a little bit, but if you are on Instagram, tag us at the Drone U, and we would love to share your posts. We're almost up to 30,000 followers, Rob.
Yeah, very cool. So obviously when we share your post, it's getting some good exposure, which hopefully is going to increase your likes and so forth. So we'd love to see that.
I've heard so many people who have said, I've gotten followers from you guys. I've gotten lots of likes from you guys. You guys have really helped me out, so thank you.
So if you don't mind, we've done it before. I'm going to ask you to do it again really quick because we probably have new listeners. Exactly what do they do to tag it the right way?
When you're writing a post, instead of putting it in the description area, you go below that and click tag people, and it pulls up the image, and you can tag anywhere on the image, and you type in the Drone U right there. Boom.
Cool.
Done.
So it's easy, but it's not necessarily the first thing that you see.
Correct.
Because you're normally just kind of in the comments of the photo.
Definitely. Yep, definitely. But anyway, guys, beautiful day here in New Mexico. If you're watching the Today Show, actually, they were at White Sands National Park.
Really?
Yeah, which would be really cool if we could fly that, but we can't. So hopefully we can get the one interview I would love to do, Rob, is to get the administrator of the national parks on the show and talk about when are they releasing a new updated rule? Because I know in 2014 they said this is a temporary thing. Here we are, 2016, 2 years later. So when does that change?
Temporary by government standards?
Yeah.
We don't really know what temporary by government standards is.
Yeah. Honestly, if they had another government shutdown, though, I would go fly every national park I could.
That's an interesting look at it.
Well, remember like a year or two ago, they shut down the national parks for a couple days, and they had all these like blockades, like you can't come into the parks because we're not working. Sure.
Right.
Like, okay. So,
yeah, because,
anyway,
there was nobody around, right?
Yeah,
so,
it was like, so you're not supposed to be working, but you're going to try to inhibit people from not going to nature? Confusing. Anyways. I just find those little nuances funny. But guys, welcome to another show. Today's question is brought to you by... Are you a drone pilot? Are you operating under a Section 353 exemption? Then you may be familiar with Item 27, which requires you to get a property release for every flight over property.
Legal Flyer is an app for iPhone and iPad that helps you create professional property releases in less time than it takes to do a pre-flight check.
You can add your pilot info, you can sign in, hand it to the property owner for their signature. But wait a second. Legal Flyer's advanced integration automatically adds latitude, longitude, and even altitude.
Then add a panorama straight from the app. Everything drops into a single-page PDF you can share with a single tap. It's compliance at light speed. Visit LegalFlyer.com for more information or get it straight from the App Store. Legal Flyer. Property releases for professional drone pilots.
My question today is about video marketing. I run into several realtors around town who know that the real estate videography is a great tool, but they just don't seem to know really how to market it. I've suggested using videos that I would make them like on their social media feeds, to post in the MLS, and even, of course, on their own website. But is there anything else I can do to help them market the video that I'd be making for them in a way that will drive more interest to the property?
Great question, Rob.
Yeah, very good question. Thank you, Ryan. We yeah, we love getting these questions, and this is one that I think a lot of people are wondering about for sure.
Oh, definitely, because we're seeing now in the drone industry that realtors don't want just a drone guy. They want someone who can kind of do it all. They want a guy who can do photos, interior stuff. They want exterior stuff. They want video. And if you can, increase your competitive advantage by having an audience to market to, then you're definitely going to one-up all the competition in your area. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's essentially an added service to the realtors that they're going to say, this is my guy.
Definitely. So what are some things that you can do? Well, let's break this down really quick. If you're making videos for realtors, couple things. The length of your video is really important. You shouldn't really be making videos longer than, say, 3.5 to 4 minutes tops.
Yeah, that's on the high end.
That's on the very high end, yeah. Now, when you are trying to market these videos for social media, even if the realtor is trying to market it through social media, you really want to create a 30 to 60-second kind of teaser video so that they can put that out on their Facebook page. They can upload it directly to Facebook. People will be able to share that very easily. And also, you want to add some sort of catchy tagline to introduce the audience to that home, but also say if you're interested in more and you want to see the full video, you can link them then to your YouTube page for the full length video.
Right.
But you're going to want to do that through a bit.ly link. So that's bit.ly. This way you can actually measure how many clicks you get for people who are more interested. And then that way you can also deliver those analytics to your realtor, because that's going to make you look really good. Follow-up is key with marketing.
Right.
A lot of salesmen will be like, oh, I'll help you. And then never go over analytics, what's working. I think I was guilty of that too at one time.
Well, like you said, I think a lot of people do, and I don't know. It's one of those things that's tedious, and you're dealing with a lot of creative people, and they don't really enjoy that part of it.
It's true.
But it's really, really valuable to show a realtor, look, this is what we've accomplished for you.
Yes.
And obviously, that's going to speak volumes. Just while we're on YouTube real quick, briefly talk about what needs to be done when a video is posted, because it's not just a matter of throwing the video up. You've got to tag it correctly on the back end.
Yeah, there's actually a lot. It's funny that you mentioned this, because even we weren't doing this up until recently. But when you upload a video, if you're creating videos, you want to make sure that the metadata in that video is going to match whatever metadata you put in YouTube. So when you're exporting in Final Cut Pro and it says right before you export, who is the creator, what are the keywords, what's the description of the video, this is actually really, really important for SEO. You want to make sure that all of your keywords are inputted in there in the back end of the file, and also in YouTube. Now, if you don't do those two things, you're not going to get that SEO awesome, hey, everyone makes it easy to find me. Now, when you are using keywords, something to think about is the area and location that you are filming. So, for example, if we're filming a house, say in the Northeast Heights, we're not going to say Northeast Heights home for sale. We have got to give people who maybe are looking to move here. We got to bring them down. So it's going to be Albuquerque home for sale would be my first keyword. And then home for sale in Albuquerque. And then realtor's name. And then drone video. And then, the address. Because people do find a home on Zillow, and then they'll search for that specific address to find other things.
Right.
The address should be your description in the top of the video.
Okay.
Now, something that you guys have to be careful about on YouTube, branding the video with your watermark or with the realtor's watermark, totally okay. Branding the video on MLS, you'll get fined. So you cannot brand videos with either realtors' names or your name on MLS, or you will get fined.
And we're pretty sure that's a national thing,
yes,
not just a local Albuquerque,
New
Mexico.
That is a national thing. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So, now, sorry, it seemed like you had a question there for a second.
No, I'm good. Carry on.
Now, for you guys who are making these videos, we've talked about, create a shorter version, like a teaser version of your video. You could even create, say, a 15 to 30 second version of that video to put on Instagram for your Instagram account. If the realtor has an Instagram account, you can put it out on Twitter. You can put it out on LinkedIn. Now, if you're creating a lot of videos, your business is focused solely around real estate videography, you may want to look into actually advertising your business on Zillow or advertising one of the properties that you've listed for your realtor, meaning, you're not just charging your realtor for doing photography and videography, but you're charging them to do marketing, which you then again you can make a profit on.
Sure.
There's always a margin in there for consultants. and then actually advertise these properties on Zillow. I mean, if you want to make an impression with someone, a realtor, make them a video, advertise it on Zillow for a couple weeks, and watch that house sell, and then come back to them with analytics and say, this is how many people clicked on it, this is how many people viewed the home, this is how many people called you from that listing, and go back to them and say, this is why you sold the house. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, when Ryan asked his question, he mentioned their understanding that they need to use social media. Maybe it sounds like they're not exactly sure what that means or how to go about that in the most efficient and effective way. You've talked about YouTube, a little bit about Instagram. What would be the best way to use Facebook? Obviously, Facebook is one of the avenues that they're going to want to use, but there's so many different ways to use it.
True.
How would you suggest he say to these realtors, this is how I'm going to do it and this is why it's best?
Well, I would upload the video to Facebook and then share it into groups that were related to realtors in the area, homes that were for sale, or even like Albuquerque has a for sale or trade in Albuquerque, and there's like 100,000 people in that group, and you could share that video in that group. Groups are really the powerful thing on Facebook because it's hyper targeted.
Right.
It is your demographic, and people are primed and ready to see that style of content. Now, if we were to take it another level further, what you could do is make your own group. What you could do is make your own page, like Albuquerque Real Estate for Sale, or Albuquerque Homes for Sale, or Homes of Albuquerque. There's different things that you could do. Now, a lot of realtors, no offense, suck at social media. And
I think they'd probably admit that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what he's alluding to here.
And I think it's difficult for them to do it anyway because of the hecticness of being a realtor.
Right.
Now, that being said, if you create these accounts. Now, one thing I want to do here in the future is do a social media class because there's so many people who do it wrong. There are systems and routines that work for social media to rapidly and organically grow an audience without spending money or without spending more than $20 a month.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can actively grow and foster this community of people who like looking at homes for sale, maybe are thinking of buying homes for sale. If we want to take it even a level deeper than that, we can actually go into Facebook. We can look at people who have been searching for homes on Zillow or who have been on Zillow and actually attract and market to those people in a geographic area.
Yeah, it's actually really amazing how pinpointed you could get with Facebook. But you brought up another point in your last series of comments there that was really interesting and I think really important to make sure we point out, and that is groups, be it Facebook or otherwise, of realtors is a great thing to target because they have buyers.
Yep.
And so you've got to get these homes, because I think we naturally think we've got to get these homes in front of buyers, which is true, but just as important and maybe more important is to get them in front of the realtors who are representing the buyers.
Couldn't agree more.
And those groups that are on Facebook is a pretty easy way to do that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. LinkedIn has some pretty good groups too.
That's true. Yeah.
I've had a little bit more trouble with LinkedIn as far as getting traction.
Yeah.
And I really think it's an ease of use thing just because Facebook is king. Like it really is king. People know how to use Facebook. LinkedIn, I have never really had much traction with LinkedIn ever. And I have an all-star profile. Literally, if you go to my profile, it says all-star, like 3,500 connections, something. And I've never really gotten much out of it.
Right.
I've posted articles. I've posted stuff. I've gotten in with groups. I think the groups are the only thing that LinkedIn actually does well. And I think it's really important that you get into those groups or, again, create a group and then systematically invite realtors into those groups.
Right.
So, you also can't be afraid to call people. That is like,
well, that's true. That's absolutely true. So our producer, John.
Yes.
I think he had a really good idea, and I just kind of want to have you talk about this and talk about what you think, and that is and so it's a little bit of a not exactly speaking to the video that's produced, but doing a live stream at an open house or at someone's house. That's a really good idea.
I think that's
How
really
would somebody
cool.
go about that?
There are many different ways you could do it. If you have a Facebook page, you could live stream straight from your phone, give people kind of a tour. You could ask questions. But I would kind of set it up. If I were to do a live stream, here's how I would do it. I'm sure realtors have email lists. I'm sure they have like MailChimp or Infusionsoft, something. And what they could do is email out once a week, like, hey, we're doing these open houses, but we're doing a live open house so you can check out the house from your living room, which I think I'm one of these people. I hate being sold on things. And because I mean, some people have said, well, Paul, you're a really good salesman. And I understand salespeople and their tactics, and I get it.
Right.
And there's some salespeople who I can say, look, just give it to me straight up because I do your job in a different thing, and I totally understand your tactics. They're not going to work on me. If you use these tactics, it's just going to piss me off more. Like, I'm telling you, just be straight with me.
Right.
Like, answer my questions, help me out. And I think that's the beauty of doing these live, Facebook feeds, these live Periscope feeds, right?
Periscope would be one way to do it.
I would much rather go look at a car and have a 360 of that car inside and out where I could, use my phone or VR goggles and look around inside of the car than having some twerp tell me about why I'm going to love this car and try to get me emotionally connected to it, which wouldn't be difficult, especially in the car I'm driving right now.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's a done deal.
Yeah, I know. I'm already like, okay, buying this one. But I think there's a large demographic of people out there, millennials especially, and even the techie guys, the guys who are network engineers, the guys who sit behind desks all day long for their whole life, they're not going to have the best social skills, and that's okay.
Right.
We all have our own problems. Like, Lord knows I'm not perfect at many things. And that being said, we don't have to negate that audience. It's just a different way to engage that audience.
Yeah, absolutely. One other idea that you brought up, which was very interesting, is to take the videos and send them out to the local media.
Well, that's what one of our Drone U members does, which is
That's a
very
great idea.
intelligent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you probably won't be able to do this with your local Washington Post or the Denver Post, but your local business papers, like for example, Albuquerque has the Albuquerque Business First, Denver has a Business First, Arizona has a Business First, and this particular member in Arizona, what he does is he goes to, say, the realtor, because they have a realtor specific, or excuse me, a real estate writer.
Correct.
And what he does is he sends his stuff to that real estate writer and said, hey, I just shot this really cool house. I think this would be great to focus on this week, because there's a real estate section, commercial and residential, in these papers, and they blast it out online on Facebook.
Exactly. So we're talking about their social media feeds, their website, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes, but I will say, I think the most valuable thing that you can do for your business, if you're focusing on real estate videography, is number one, package deals. You got to do the inside, you got to do the outside. But number two is really creating these groups yourself. If you own the group, literally, if you own the group and a realtor comes up to you and says, my friends have told me what you're doing, and you really have a way to market these things, and that's super powerful. You could literally sell the rights to the group.
Yeah.
And then if you have a bunch of guys who suck at flying and they're trying to get in, with realtors, and they're like, hey, I heard that you have like the marketing platform, and I was wondering if, maybe you could post my video. I'd be like, you know what, Rob, I would love to post your video for $200. I can guarantee that you're going to get at least like 2,000 in reach.
Right.
And all I have to do is spend $20 and get the 2,000 in reach, if that. And I just pocketed 180 as a margin. So,
yeah.
There are many angles that you can go at this. And if you really want to be above your competition, that's how you do it.
Absolutely. And as we were talking about this, Paul, one of the things that comes to mind that Ryan and other pilots out there could do to bring value to these realtors is to, once they have an understanding of how all of this works, something that you probably would do if you had the time and this was your focus, is you set up seminars for these realtor offices, and you can go in and get exposure with them and talk about all of this stuff and enlighten them on what's possible and how you're going to help them with this.
Totally true.
And they're going to let you in to talk about that stuff because you're bringing value to them.
Yep, that is totally true. Can I tell you, though, as a drone pilot, being a good one, God, I would murder the real estate scene if I was a realtor. I would just murder it. It would be so much different than what every realtor out there is doing, at least in our area. There are some really good realtors out there.
There are.
There's one guy in Virginia Beach. His name is Chase. I actually met him a couple of years ago. And I mean, he hustles so hard. That's the type of people I want to work with, who are always trying to learn, always trying to better themselves, because, you learn and grow with these people. I've got one particular client who I've learned so much from. It's incredible. But I mean, he's been in the market for 40 years. So little different on his end, but man, the amount that you can learn isn't just insane.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, again, they're going to want to learn from you. If you know how to do all this stuff, they don't, go teach them.
But be very careful about what you teach them, because sometimes you have these like bullheaded realtors who've never flown a drone, think they can fly a drone, and they crash a drone. This has happened in Santa Fe like 3 times. One guy with an Inspire, one guy with a P3, one guy with a P2. And I know one of the guys, because he called me. He was like, well, you make it look so easy. I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, go out there, try it. Go.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but obviously you can't worry about that if they're going to go out and be dumb, frankly.
Well, it's just like we said, it's that cycle, It's just like
exactly.
the undercharger cycle. If you got a guy who's undercharging, your clients are going to try him out, and they're probably not going to like the quality, and they're going to come back to you.
Exactly.
It's just that cycle. So you got to make sure, we've been saying this time and time again, focus on quality, don't focus on price point.
Absolutely. So any last words of wisdom for Ryan? Is that it? One other thing, I'm sorry, really quick, that we did talk about was just one other group that you can go to is go to lenders. Some of these lenders are going to have decent followings, and they're going to be willing to share your videos because they want to figure out a way to develop a relationship with that realtor. So just one more avenue that you might go through.
Totally agree. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for us today. Again, if you like this podcast, if you found this podcast or any of our podcasts useful, you like them, please write us a review so that other people like you can find out about this podcast. It really helps us. We really appreciate it. And if you have a question, go to askdroneu.com, upload that question. Again, don't send me Facebook messages. AskDroneU.com. I've got so many messages, Rob. It's unbelievable.
Well, and as you're seeing, the people that call in and use their voice to ask a question, they're the ones that are getting on the podcast.
That is true. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul.
And I'm Rob.
This is Ask Drone U.
We believe that videos, images, words, and sounds have the absolute power to inform, inspire, and entertain. We are united under the virtues of safety and knowledge. We are a training community of learners and teachers who encourage and energize each other to achieve greatness. We are pilots, videographers, photographers, freelancers, business owners, enthusiasts, experts, and apprentices. We are creators. We are the Drone U.